Hey, this is Matt from GamesRadar, and I'm here with Matt Gilman from GamesMaster to talk about Dark Souls 3. Our reviewer, Edwin, wasn't available for the video, so Matt is going to step into his place, and I'm sure he will do an excellent job, and they like the game as much as each other, so here we go. So, Matt, let's start off with, I think the most obvious question. Where does this kind of sit in the Souls world? So obviously we just had Bloodborne, and this is quite an obvious influence of that. Compared to the other games, like, does this feel the same? Does it feel different?
Sure. I mean, in terms of the combat, it's very much Dark Souls in that you will be going around corners with your shield up the first time. It's very tentative. It's much less leap in. You've lost the regain system from Bloodborne, so there's not this incentive to leap into combat. In terms of that said, I mean, it still feels like a touch faster. So there's obviously kind of like a feel of Bloodborne to it, and it's certainly in terms of the world. Like, there are areas, especially early on in the game, where you'll literally walk through them and you'll be pointing at them and saying, I've seen this before. I've seen this from the first Dark Souls. I've seen this from Bloodborne. There's an area which looks essentially like Hemwick Charnel Lane from Bloodborne. There's an area which is Blighttown 2.0 in all but name, from the first Dark Souls game. And yet, when you take in the whole world, it feels very much like the DLC packs from Dark Souls 2, in that you have fast travel open from the very beginning, but each area feels very distinct, very interwoven within itself. So, like, typically you'll discover a new area and there'll be a huge vista which looks absolutely stunning, and you'll see the area that you're about to explore for the next 10, 15, 20 hours. And only when you go back to that vista much later on do you kind of appreciate just how much effort has gone into making these areas weave in and out of each other as they do. So it's got a little bit of everything from Soulscape so far, yeah.
How does that affect the feel of it? Because I think the way Edwin described it in his review said that Dark Souls used to feel like a trap, like the whole thing was just like a bait and switch thing, so you would try and do something and the game would know that you were trying to do that,
sure,
and then flatten you. And I think we've probably become familiar with that, the tempting items and things like that. Does it still have that sense of peril that the original games had?
There are a lot more mimics in this game than they are. Okay, so take the Mimic. I mean, the Mimic's the classic kind of Dark Souls trap. You think you know what mimics do and how they act. So, and you think
Did you spot the first Mimic?
Of course, I was just smashing every chest. But they won't necessarily act in ways that you think you know mimics will act. So when you see a mimic, I got you, Dark Souls. I know what you're trying to do, and then it'll do something different. So there are those moments of surprise and moments of feeling not quite on top of things. But and I've compared it with like the Alien films. Like, the first Alien film comes out, you don't know what that alien is. You don't know what a xenomorph is or how it works. And all of the things that surprise you during that first film are a complete mystery and, as a result, terrifying. But then, since then, you know what xenomorphs are, and you know how they're going to act. You know, all the little facts make it impossible to feel as terrified by them as you were in that first film. It's a similar thing with Dark Souls. So, like, you know what items are. You know what enemies do a lot of the time. You have reference points buried deep from the previous two games and DLC packs to make connections that, if it was your first run through a Dark Souls game in Dark Souls 3, you wouldn't be making. So, like, when people feel that this isn't surprising, it's only because this is the third game in a 3-long thing, you know, with all of the DLC packs and all of the other bits on the side. So it's hard to feel like as completely lost and isolated as we were in that first game, having played those first two games. But then if you are a completely new player, then you're not just screwed, you're completely screwed, because not only do you not know all of those reference points from the first games, but there are still more surprises on top of that to come. So in a way, it makes total sense that Miyazaki is talking about this as the end point of Dark Souls.
Okay, so in terms of quality alone, then we might have to move away from your Alien analogy, because I'm not sure what people think about Alien 3. Is it good or bad? But it's not Alien Resurrection, is it?
Well, no, definitely not. It's a fantastic game. There are moments of Some of the surprises in there are speaking directly to people who played that first Dark Souls game and who loved the first Dark Souls game. And weirdly, and I was a big supporter of Dark Souls 2, I think it's a fantastic game as well. Dark Souls 3 puts into relief some of the problems that Dark Souls 2 had, like puts it into sharp relief. Like you look back at Dark Souls 2 and say, actually, they got it slightly wrong there. And I think it's to do with cohesion. It's about like the way the world fits together, how everything that you see makes some kind of sense, and there's a confidence that it will make sense. There's no like obscure reference to things that don't matter. If there's an obscure reference, it will matter to something somewhere. You just have to make the connection as you're playing, right? And this is in terms of lore. In terms of the combat, it's as slick as it's ever been. I mean, it speaks volumes that they don't have to tweak it too much to make it better, because it's already brilliant. I mean, what they've done is fix the camera. I mean, as I was playing it, I never had the typical Dark Souls thing of the camera suddenly disappearing up an arse of a troll or something halfway through a fight. It just works. And the other big addition is the skill system. So every weapon you pick up has this, or every weapon and every shield you pick up has an additional skill. So you have to play around with these weapons to kind of get reused to them, I guess. That said, I mean, you still know what things are. Like, the movesets are the same. That's one of the bigger disappointments for me, was that you might pick up a weapon that you've been using throughout the last two games, like a Lucerne or a Spear or something, and you know the moveset, so it goes straight in your pocket and you don't pick it out again. You know what it is. Similarly, there are lots of repeated armor sets, which, in terms of lore, are quite interesting. Like, I discovered this piece of armor there. What does that tell me about the people who lived here in this place before it all went to hell or whatever? But equally, it's the same armor set that you wore in the last game, and there's a lot of reusing of that stuff, which is kind of disappointing. But ultimately, the combat is, like I say, as slick as it's ever been, and it's a hell of a lot of fun.
Excellent. Sounds fascinating and brilliant. And please do go to the website and check out Edwin's review if you haven't already. And thank you very much, Matt. Cheers.
Thank you.